My people, welcome back to your favorite You and I talk show with Louise UWACU. This week, my people, we're taking you to Sublime Surroundings. My people, welcome back to You and I. Cassandra Wilson in the house.
Thank you so much, Louise, for having me. It's so wonderful to be here.
I'm so happy to see you. I've met you before. You look so wonderful.
Thank you.
You're so skinny, eh? You're like a starving model or something.
It's fast metabolism.
Have you always been skinny like that? And have you considered modeling?
I have done some modeling.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nice. So you're also the author of Sublime. Do they call it Sublime? Is it
Sublime Surroundings.
Sublime
Yeah,
Surroundings.
Sublime.
I was reading it Sublime, you know, the French version.
It's true. It's French too.
Nice. So the picture, the cover itself is so wonderful. It makes you want to go there.
Thank you. This picture was from when I was on this beautiful beach. I took the picture, and then after I left Thailand, I drew the picture, and then I painted the picture, and then this is the photo. This is the picture here.
Wow.
So it's an evolution of the experience that I had there.
So it stayed with you. So let's back it up a little bit. How did you fall into writing, and what were you doing before you got into the journey?
So I've always been a writer, and I've always enjoyed writing, and I like to take the reader with me on a journey, and so that's always been something I've enjoyed doing. And prior to going to Thailand, I was teaching English in South Korea for a year. So I had saved some money, and I decided to go to tropical Thailand to see what life offered me from there. So that's how I ended up in Thailand.
From Korea. And how did you end up in Korea in the first place?
Well, I went to university in Calgary, and then I got my bachelor's degree in sociology and minor in psychology. And when I graduated, I tried to find a job. And, you know, you're fresh out of university, it's very difficult to get in the door. So I started looking overseas, and I found that South Korea was hiring people with degrees. And so I thought I would investigate it. I did. And yeah, it just fit. And I found some wonderful people over there, a wonderful school to work for. So I was there for a year.
You were teaching?
Teaching English to kids. Yeah.
So you didn't want to be in the oil business in Calgary?
No. I wanted to explore the world a little bit. After university, you know, I'd been so busy with appointments and schooling, and it took me 5 years to finish my 2 degrees. And so I really wanted to get away and start exploring the world and start traveling. So this was a great way to have 2 birds with 1 stone. Just go to Korea, make some money, and start to travel. So that's how it began.
And you went all by yourself?
I did.
No fear, right?
Well, my mom was very supportive of me traveling and seeing the world, and I had done a lot of research on which schools were the best schools to go to, and I phoned as well ahead of time and asked the other teachers working there how they enjoyed it. And the company that I went to work for, they were a very wonderful family, and so it just worked perfectly, actually. It was a great environment, and it was a fantastic experience.
So while you were in Korea, you're teaching them English. Are they teaching you any local languages?
Definitely. They taught me Korean. I learned how to read and write Korean. So, yeah.
The sign stuff?
Yeah.
You can actually identify what they're saying.
Yeah, it's fairly simple, actually. It's very phonetic. So all of the symbols actually have a sound. And so then when you assemble them, it's just that sound. And then you can read the text quite easily, actually. So you just have to apply yourself and learn what the texts are. It's similar to English, but they don't have like an A sound for an A. It's just one sound. So it is fairly simple to put together. I think there are about 26 symbols, and then you just assemble them differently for different words. So it's not that difficult.
And so when you're teaching them English, how easy is it for them to go from their language to English? Is their language more sophisticated than English, or?
No, I think English is one of the hardest languages to learn, they say, and that's partly because of the idioms that we use. We use a lot of idioms, which is something like, let's see, like from the horse's mouth or something, you know, like those types of terms that do not have a clear definition but have evolved over time. That's why English is so hard to learn. But South Korean does not have those types of nuances. So it is a little bit challenging to teach English and to learn English. But you know, when you go to a school over there, there's often a curriculum and a set standard on how to teach the language so that, you know, kids can start to learn, hello, how are you, how am I feeling, you know, I'm fine, thank you. And so they start to learn the basics, and you just have to help them grow in confidence so that they feel more inclined to continue to learn and read, because it is quite a big mountain to climb to learn English. But they're very busy at they're very dedicated to doing that in South Korea, so their systems are quite good.
I'm thinking it's also maybe like a cultural thing. Like in order to know the idioms, you actually have to know the English culture a little bit.
Exactly. And so there's a lot of Koreans that come over to Canada and they spend a year here to learn, and you know, it's great because you know, if you just apply yourself, you learn more and more. You know, but as I said, English is one of the hardest languages to learn. So,
wow.
You know, bravo to all of them for tackling that. I feel for them. But yeah, Korean was definitely easier to learn than English for sure.
Korean was easier for you to learn. Wow, that is so amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to take a short break, and then we're going to come back and get to how you got into the book.
Sounds good.
All right, my people, stay tuned. You and I Talk Show with Louise UWACU. We love you, the authors, the musicians, the comedians, the entrepreneurs, and all other talented and inspiring people. Please contact info@uwacu.com to be a guest on the show. My people, we're back, and then now we're going back to Sublime Surroundings in Thailand. So, who is this Mark guy that you read about in your book?
He's a friend.
And then I have like underlined a part here. I don't know if I can find it. A part where you guys are just chilling, and then you say some smart stuff, and then he tells you, oh, this needs to be written down. Yeah. Is this a fiction guy, or is this like your Korean lover over there?
Mark was one of my fellow teachers in Korea, and when my term finished in Korea, I was talking about going to Thailand, and his term was up as well. So he said, you know, do you want a travel buddy to go with you? And I said, sure, that'd be perfect. He's hilarious.
That's
He's an easygoing guy. So I said, sure. And so, yeah, we went together, and, you know, I had a bungalow on the beach. I had this amazing bungalow on the beach right beside the water, and his was next to mine. And so, you know, we're just good buddies in Korea, and the same in Thailand. So it was nice to have someone to go there with.
So you're denying the love story?
Yes.
Okay.
Denying the love story there.
I was making up a love story in my
You
mind.
must
Why
have
do you
been,
have to kill it?
You
know?
have to keep reading, though. You have to keep reading.
Yeah, I'm in the middle of the book.
Are you? Okay, you're still hoping for Mark.
I'm like, where
Mark's
is this
a
love
lovely
story
person,
going?
Yeah. Exactly. That's the twist and turn through the story. Yeah, you don't know what's going to happen next.
No, I don't know what's going to happen next. I'm waiting for some action.
Yeah.
So you say there's no action?
Well, I think, you know,
don't give it away.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, yeah, what happened was, you know, when I got there, it was the most beautiful place I had ever been, and it was so sublime that, you know, 5 days in, I just kind of let go of, you know, everything I'd been holding on to. As I said, I had been so busy, you know, growing up and going to activities and being busy and doing sports and then university, and, you know, you're just running through life and you've got all these activities you've got to do, and so I finally get to this beach, and I didn't have anything to do. I didn't have the phone to answer or emails to answer. I just was able to relax. And 5 days of just relaxing and letting go, I started to feel and resonate with the beauty that was there. And it started to really create this profound feeling in me that there was something more to be discovered about life. Because as I said, you know, I had been so busy, everything was fragmented, and And to go there and to be in this place and to have this resonant beauty and peace just engulf me, really just started to open my mind and my heart, and I'm sure, you know, everything about me. And then because it was so beautiful, that's what was coming in. And so it started to change my thoughts and my experience of life. And I was like, okay, hold on a second here. What's happening? And then, you know, I began to kind of sit with it and feel it and speak of these things and you know, appreciate the beauty that was there. And so then I spoke new words and I had new concepts. And Mark was thinking, you know, what's happening to you? You're changing, you're talking about different things, you know, where are you going? And I said, you know, I don't know where I'm going, but it's good and I want to keep going. And so I would just sit and spend time by myself and sit on the beach and listen to the waves and watch the nature and in this completely different environment than I'd ever been in before, because being raised in Canada, you don't have tropical beaches or warm weather to just sit and to get into. But here in Thailand, you know, it was quiet and peaceful, so peaceful and still and beautiful and tropical, and the scents coming across the ocean with the, you know, the fragrant the seaweed and the flowers and just this different kind of sway that really made me listen and pay attention. And yeah, it definitely began to change me. And so, you know, I was experiencing this kind of, you know, indulgence of my senses. And Mark was saying, what's happening? Where are you going with this? And I said, I don't know, you know, isn't it happening with you as well? And he said, well, I'm having a nice experience, and that's what it is for me. And I thought, well, you know, I'm being absorbed into this beautiful environment. And
funny how two people can be together on the same journey, experiencing the same thing. And then one of you writes a book out of it.
Exactly. And so, you know, it really called me to explore what that was and to go more deeply into it. And so I ended up staying there for a whole month. And he left after about 2 weeks because he said, you know, I can't just relax and do nothing. I have to work.
Wow. Some people
he couldn't let go of, you know, he had to get back to the city. So he did. He left and went back to Korea. And I stayed, and, you know, I called my parents and I said, well, Mark's leaving, but I've made other friends, and, you know, I'm going to stay for a little while longer. And I wanted
Maybe
to
he was hoping for a hookup, and then you went spiritual on him, eh?
Yeah,
I see how it happened.
That could have been.
This guy comes with you, and then you go spiritual on him.
Yeah, I did. I just was like, right in the space there, and he was like, hey, wait, girl.
I'm going back to the city.
Yeah, so I think maybe that might have been on his mind, but, you know, for me it was such a rich and profound, you know, like a transformative experience that I was like, okay, you gotta wait, my sweet friend, I'm into this. And so, you know, 30 days of that really changed me. It completely transformed my life, because up until that point I had been listening to everything else and the others and the conditioning, you know, that I had been raised in. You have to work and keep busy and apply yourself, and here I was like, it was the exact opposite. It was like, okay, doing nothing feels right.
Wow.
Being still feels nice. So I did. I let myself just sink into that. And
let's hold on to that thought.
Okay.
To that thought, and then take a short break.
Sure.
Do nothing in this break, my people. Come back, okay? You and I Talk Show with Louise UWACU. We love you, the authors, the musicians, the comedians, the entrepreneurs, and all other talented and inspiring people. Please contact info@uwacu.com to be a guest on the show. All right, my people, we're back. We're not doing anything. We're chilling. We're talking about this. So you stay there for an extra month.
So I'm there for a month. Mm-hmm. And then I start realizing that, you know, the experience that I'm having, it seems to have some relationship to my relationship with it. So I started to realize that there was a connection between what I was thinking and what I was feeling. And so I started to explore that and change my thoughts in a way that would feel good for me. And then I felt something different. And so I started to realize that I could be part of this instead of just witnessing the environment and surroundings and appreciating it, that I was with that. And so then it became, well, how can I explore this and understand this more fully? And then I thought, well, why don't I just move to Bangkok and then try to keep this sense of peace and balance and clarity in the middle of chaos and like a busy metropolis. And I thought that would be kind of the ultimate test, right?
Challenge.
The ultimate flip challenge to try and keep this peace and serenity, right? The tranquility of this incredibly beautiful beach with soft powdery sand and just the most gentle scents and most gentle breezes and calm little waves, you know, trickling on the shore, and to take that with me into the city. So I did.
Yeah, because it's one thing to be chill and peaceful when you're there. But going back to the city, that is the real challenge. Totally. That's when it starts.
Yeah. So I knew.
Can't wait to hear how you came back in the cold in Canada too.
Yeah, exactly. That's another.
See how your motivation freezes up.
Exactly. So so then I went to Bangkok, and you know, I didn't have a job, I didn't have a place, but my dad helped me. He put me up in a hotel for a week. He said, I'll give you a week at this hotel and you can get a job in an apartment. And so I'm like, okay, I'll do that. And so the first day out, I had my map and my directions and my plans, and I was out 10 minutes in this stifling heat because at that time, I think it was April, it was boiling in the city, and there's a lot of concrete there, and so it's like just like a steamer pot. So it was really, really hot, and I was really confused. And the Thai language is, for me, I wasn't able to decipher the text. And so every street sign that we're flying past on the bus, I was like, wait, what street is that? What street is that? Like, oh my God, like I'm trying to match it up, right? But it was crazy. And so, you know, I'd come back to the hotel and cry. So I'm like, oh God, this is harder than I thought. And so the next day, I tried again, and it was a little bit easier. And then the next day, I went and got a job interview, and so then I had that, and then I got the job teaching at another school, and then I went and looked at a couple of apartments, and I couldn't find anything, and then I had found in the newspaper there was an address for a place, and I thought, oh, this will be it, you know, this wonderful place. And I go there, and I get dropped off by this taxi, and he speeds off, and I'm in a cloud of dust, and there's like these high walls, and these, you know, men sitting out on their lawn chairs, and I'm like, where's the place, right? And so I was like, oh gosh, I need help, And so next thing I know, this taxi comes right up. And then he stops, and I'm like, okay, I'm getting in this taxi. So I get in the taxi, and luckily he spoke English. And he said, you know, I'm going to help you.
Students, maybe?
No, he wasn't, unfortunately. But he said, I'm going to help you do this. And so he drove back to the district that I wanted to explore, and he took me to like places that I thought would be a nice place to live. And then I found one, and I walked in, and they said, we have a penthouse available for rent. And I went up, checked it out. It was beautiful. It was affordable. I said, yes, I'll take it. And that was it. It was just like that. And so then I moved in. I started my job, and I tried to just keep that focus in the city. And I'd ride the buses, and I'd put my headphones on, and I would just try to be still and serene. And I watched the people, and I began to learn a lot about the Thai culture because I studied sociology, so I love culture and how that works and moves. And so I became a witness of, you know, the Thai people and how they lived and how they were so peaceful on the streets and how they'd navigate so perfectly around each other. And, you know, it was packed. The streets were packed and the sidewalks were packed, and you had to just flow. You had to go with the flow. You had to become part of, you know, the group that was there and just go with it. And so I really learned the difference, because Canada is on the completely opposite side of the world as Thailand. And so it was a really interesting thing to be able to like fit into that culture, even though I was, you know, probably maybe the only Western woman they had seen at that point, or maybe they'd only seen a few, but I found it a really interesting experience to be in Bangkok.
You know, I think that the Thailand people, the Ministry of Culture and Tourism, they should pay you, eh?
Sure.
It's such a beautiful commercial for their country. And for their people. Because so far, what we know, the rest of the world, the only thing we know about Thailand is the food. The Thai food is good.
It
so
is.
You're saying the people are as good as the food?
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's take a short let's take a short break and come back and finish this, my people. You and I Talk Show with Louise UWACU. We love you, the authors, the musicians, the comedians, the entrepreneurs, and all other talented and inspiring people. Please contact info@uwacu.com to be a guest on the show. All right, my people, we're back to our Sublime Surroundings. So how did the book come about? You came back to Canada, obviously, at some point you had to come back. You know, you can't stay over there forever.
I didn't stay over there forever. I stayed for 8 months, a little more than 8 months. But I can't tell you exactly the ending because then you'll know the ending of the book. But, you know, when I was there, and as I said, on the island, I was keeping a journal, and I kept a journal the entire time I was there. And then as soon as I left, I got on the computer and I started to assemble it into a legible story. And then when I had finished, and that took years, and then I realized that it was more like an essay than a narrative. That was more. There wasn't as much dialogue. It didn't carry enough, you know, to be something that you pick up and read. It was more of an essay. So I spent some more time, years, crafting it into a narrative and with a lot more dialogue to explain what was happening, so that people can read it. So it took me many years to take this story and the entire experience of me coming kind of full circle in awareness to, you know, realizing that I'm part of life and part of this experience, and finding the love in that, and putting it into really nice bits and pieces, so that when you're reading it, you feel like you're in Thailand yourself. You feel like you're at the beach. You hear the waves.
And the way you describe everything, you have such a great way of writing and describing everything, just like you're telling the story, right? Like, I want to keep this show going. Unfortunately, it's almost kind of but the way you tell the story, it's like you're really taking people on this journey with you, like everybody's mark, you know, whether you're taking us with you on the journey.
I love that idea.
Yeah. So who should read this book, and how is it going to help them in their own lives?
Well, I think people who are seekers, I put them under that category. Anyone who's a seeker, anyone who wants to know themselves more, wants to experience love more through life's experience, anyone who wants to travel to Thailand, anyone who wants...
I told you they should pay for that.
Exactly. Maybe they will. I have to talk to them. Anyone, you know, who wants to take a self-sabbatical, which I have been calling it since then, is where you just take yourself to a place where you can be by yourself and think and feel your own feelings and kind of remember, you know, your beingness and your you-ness. Anybody who wants to know more and wants to explore, I think would really love it. Yeah. Yeah.
And so how is it living in Vancouver? You know, they call it beautiful British Columbia. On car plates over here, it's beautiful British Columbia. It's not Sublime.
No, it's not. It's not Sublime.
Like how you know?
Yeah. I think you're right. You know, it's not exactly the Sublime in the same way, but the beauty here is different.
What's missing in British Columbia that you would have to go all the way to Thailand to find it?
What's missing in British Columbia? Well, I think the difference between Vancouver and Thailand is that Vancouver has these massive mountains, which really dictate, you know, the energy of the space here, and the ocean and the inlets and the islands. It's much more rugged, and you have to get involved. You have to be part of it, and you know, go on the trails in the forest, and so you got to get more physically involved. Whereas in Thailand, you know, it's mostly sand, and there's maybe some hills, but it's, from what I remember, the whole peninsula is, you know, kind of just sandy. It's flat, and so because of that, there's this stillness that resonates over the land, and then you've got this gentle water coming in. So it's a lot more like fine-tuned and still, peaceful.
So you have this peaceful vibe to yourself. Was this here before, or was this something that you brought back from Thailand?
I definitely found this feeling in Thailand that has stayed with me. because I realized that if I could experience this sublime surroundings in Thailand, I could experience it anywhere, because then I knew what it was and I could feel it in any circumstance, which is what I was saying when I took that and went to Bangkok. And that's my goal, is to be able to have those sublime surroundings anywhere, because I think that they actually do exist everywhere. That fine vibration of peace and love is really global.
Wow. Yeah. So we're coming to the end. It was short and sweet. Where can people find your book? How can people support you? We have like a few seconds.
Thank you. Amazon.com.
Yes.
Sublime Surroundings, A Discovery of Self in Thailand by Cassandra Wilson. That's the best place to get it right now. And bookstores soon.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Cassandra.
Thank you so much, Louise.
I'm going to hug you after the show.
Yes, please
My people, go and be sublime and go to Sublime Surroundings and buy the book.